Welcome everyone to the 204th Knowledge Seekers Workshop for Thursday, December 28th, 2017. My name is Rick Crammond. I'll be your host today, and we'll be talking with Mr. Keshe of the Keshe Foundation, and also season's greetings to everyone who celebrates the holidays at this time of year. And this will be our last show of 2017. So thank you everybody for being with us through this year. It's been a fantastic year with lots of changes and lots of news happening from the Keshe Foundation. As for Mr. Keshe, I think he's ready in the background here, and he's told me that he doesn't listen to the news. Yet I think it's because he's too busy making the news. Mr. Keshe, are you there? Hello, Mr. Keshe.
Yes, good morning, good day to you. As usual, wherever and whenever you listen to these workshops. What is interesting is we have done a lot of work. We have done a lot of soul searching now that we have started teaching about the essence of the creation of man. And especially this year, we have taken a long journey, as Rick said, in trying to understand the essence of our own creation through understanding of a new technology. That there is no myth, there is nothing because somebody says so, but because we understand ourselves, who we are, what we are, how we are made of, what we are made of, and what is the destiny for us once we leave the physical world in the essence of the body of the man. As I said, many people have written to me, and I get it from a lot of international organizations. Can you stop mixing the soul of the man with the science? In that case, we can support you because the science makes sense, but there cannot be a connection between the science and religion. And I explained to them, and I explained to you again and again, that the science of creation has led to the faith of the man, not the faith of the man to the science of creation. And when you understand the science of creation, you come to understand the essence of creation. Why and where we come from and where we go to. And in so many ways, as a human race, we have chosen a very interesting path, an interesting way, and does not matter where man has appeared, always accepted somebody to be higher than him. Somebody has more power than him, and he has called them the god of wind, the god of rain. Then he has made the statues, and he's put his mind to the mind of the stone, and his wishes to the wishes of the bricks and wood, and in every shape or form he has considered himself not to be intelligent enough to understand, and that has created a channel for those who think can abuse these conditions to become in position of power, and adding to the ignorance of the man for them to rule. In so many ways, interaction of the man in the dimension of understanding his own creation with the creator has known different channels in different ways. And over time, man has learned the science because he's done it himself. And whatever has been brought to man for him to understand the essence of conduct of his own physical structure, he has called it a mystery, a God, a creator. And then has chosen different path of believing in it. And now that we try to break open this rigma, break open for everyone to see the reality, now it becomes very dangerous. Because the abuse of the man in the name of the man himself, as a creator of himself, they have become the intermediaries to control the soul of the man with the physicality of the man. In fact, what we have seen and what we see, what we call as a path of belief, religion or whatever, has become another, what I call strength length, strength of field, that instead of us internally interacting between the soul and our physicality, we call it our emotion. The external strength of it, we call it religion. And those who have found this strength, they emphasize on it. They can tune into it and then abuse it. It's very much, it's a mindset. It's a controlled mindset. Who those who could understand it have used it. If I speak to you in the language of love, and you understand love, there's a microphone open in the background, please. Then you will understand the reality of the fact that you speak, you understand the same strength as me in sharing and giving. And those who could understand the strength of the abuse, they have created it and given it the name of faith. In fact, there is no difference between what we call religious belief, which touches our emotion, and pain, joy, sadness. But man, in the time, has found that strength. Wavelength, we call it in the matter state. And so has abused man. And have called it in every name you can. So now we understand the totality, that the faith of the man is the conduct of the soul of the man in interaction with the emotion of the man. And then depends whatever you want to call it. God, sin, happiness, joy. And this is what has been part of these teachings. We elevating our own knowledge and understanding of our own creation. And now we can do. I was explaining this in a teaching some times ago. And if those of you who understood most of the teaching this year, you will understand this very easily. And those of you who do not, and who have not comprehended the totality, hopefully in the future you understand. I've said before, if you go back to star formation and you get a dynamic setup of 4 base reactors and 1 above, but understanding that the strong gives to the weaker for it to become strong and equal, and in that process creates a condition. And then if you understood that the soul of the man is a dynamic sun which is within the man, then you have 2 choices. Stick to the physical dimension of the spaceship program, or use the soul of the man to create the spaceship of the man in the depth of the universe. Or if you have elevated your soul further enough to understand the totality, one soul with understanding of the operation of the physicality, which is the distribution of the souls in collective areas as sub or taking part, gravitational part. The heart of the man absorbs. The lung of the man absorbs. You found 2 of the gravitational point, and the soul of the man, which is in the brain of the man, which is a giver on top. You found the essence of the, what I call the star formation within the body of the man. Or if some of you who have not gained that confidence, structure yourself that your souls, the essence of the creation of your own being, in conjunction to be a giver to the others, in the star formation can lead to the creation of the spaceship which can take man out of a position. You can do it individually or collectively, or you can do it in a physical matter. I've seen many of you creating these dynamic cores. The soul of the man is dynamic and of a highest strength known to man and in the universe. So man on his own can create his own dimension of travel within the depth of the universe, or collectively men can become and create that dynamic setup. Or if you are connected to the physical entity, you get to that point. What has happened in the past times, in the past year, I have tried in 4 years and over the past 10 years to teach the physicality, that you get confident, gain strength in the process. Then I have moved you to understand there's a mechanical system or it's a soul of the man. And some of you have started using it and understanding it. It needs a lot of practice. It needs a lot of understanding of one's strength to be able to achieve it. And once one achieve it, it's like that God that you have created and understood the strength of, and they could abuse you because of it, between the dimension of the soul and physicality, or the strength of the love. Either case, in either way, you become aware of the knowledge, and at that point you be enlightened and you become part of the man of universe. You become part of universal community. And in so many ways, in the past centuries and thousands of years, all this knowledge in a hidden way was given to Moses in commandments. We know the 12 he brought down. I opened 2 of them to you in the past 6 months, and today I reveal the rest. Then you understand. The rest of the commandments will be released today. And then you understand man had the knowledge to reach the point of maturity thousands of years ago. Except the intermediary of those who received the enlightenment, but to the benefit of their own physicality, blocked, destroyed, and ignored. In so many ways, what I would like to do today, I'll let you ask questions, but understand we are not here to speak about nano coating and GANS boxes and dynamic motors. Those will be left to the teaching of KFSSI, the Institute of Teaching of the Keshe Foundation. I'll let you ask questions, and in the process we enlighten each other. That, as has been said, today is the last teaching or workshop of the 2017. In being enlightened, we started 2018, and in so many ways we should start seeing the changes in all the Keshe Foundation work. In the supporters understanding more and more about the dimension of the soul of the man, and then we cross the line to become members of the universal community. Would it happen in masses, or would it happen in individual cases, or would it be a collective work between the Universal Council, the Earth Council and the core team to facilitate? You will see the change of the soul in the members of the councils. In a specific way and a specific reason, the 2 languages who have used the soul of the man most in the past times will be presented in different way, and you will understand. One is the French and one is the English. And then you understand why this process has taken place, because the language and the use of these 2 languages has brought more abuse on the body of the man as a race than anyone else in the past times. So by the wish and the will of those who wanted peace, it has been left out, that we can understand the totality according to us. Then if you understand this, in what comes as part of the commandments, you understand the totality. I would like to ask you, if you have any question which is relevant to this, we'll talk about it. But we are not a religious group. We are here to look at the totality of the facts and understand the physical process of our soul, and how, understanding the physicality of our being, we can use our soul to create new dimension and newer craft. What I said in one of the teachings very recently is, are those organizations who put man into space use the knowledge of the science of physics and try to enter the world of universe, are meddling in the work of the God too? Are they then in the process of interfering with the soul and science and religion? Or we have found a new fuel, we have found a new system, and that system allows us to travel much faster and with much more clarity and safety in the space of the universe than those who chose the, what we call propulsion, or jet, or a donkey to travel. This is where the change has come. For us to understand, we have access to a new fuel, to new system, to new motor, which you like to call it the soul of the man. And this time we don't need a captain, we don't need an astronaut to take us there, but we can do it because we understand the process, we understood the creation of the ganses and the field forces, and how to convert the gans to matter state. And through that process, we have become the new generation of who bring the science and religion together and make one out of it. This is where the fear of those who threaten these teachings is, that now the generation, the production, the understanding of the new fuel and new system is the industrial revolution in the soul of the man and the physicality of the man. And there are many of those who do not like to see this, as they lose control, because they have to become part of one, and they become part of one. And this is what it is. Those of you who go into the dimension of understanding the new technology, the plasma technology, which is the plasma of the soul of the man, that is the sun, and it's sun which radiates and gives, which in its field creates the earth, and through interaction of the fields of the earth and the sun creates the man, and then the intelligence, and that jet engine or the propulsion system for a rocket now has led for the soul of the man to complete its cycle and become another sun in respect to the sun of creation. And that's what is the problem with all these teachings. That now you have become the scientists of the whole knowledge, because you understand the basic, you understood, you made the ganses, you saw the fields, you've seen the reaction of your body to the fields, and now we have matured to become man of space. Many of us, many of us will cross this line in 2018 Christian calendar. Many of us will start the space travels in different shape and form. We promised 2018 will make wine on Mars. It says 2018 travel to Mars. Shuttle Mars will be served. The knowledge is there. Go back on the pages of the Keshe Foundation Travel into Space. It's a line which is put in there. This is how man has advanced in such a short time. And we knew 2018 is the time for it. It's us who can fail or succeed according to our own path of belief. A lot of things have changed. A lot of us would like to understand more, and a lot of us will walk away because we don't see ourselves to be worthy of being the man of space. But listen to the rest of the commandments which are going to be released today. Moses brought 12, and now released the other 10. 2 has been given. There are two hidden, that when you mature to become the man of universe, you receive those two through your own soul. Then the 24 commandments are complete. Any questions?
Good morning, Mr. Keshe.
Good morning, Sasha.
What was the first two one you talked about before? Can you go over it, please?
No, it's for you. It's in the teaching in past few weeks.
Or in the past few weeks? Okay.
One was that thou shalt not lie, because Moses wanted to lie to his flock, so he had to break it. What you see in the 10 commandments, which Moses did not, and refused to release, because it affected him personally in what he wanted to do, what he planned to do. But if it would have been released, it would have changed a lot of things for the man. And he could not have done what he did. And what we've seen with the followers and the then continuation of people of his path. Any questions?
Yes, Jalal would like to ask a question. Want to go ahead, Jalal?
Good day, Mr. Keshe.
Good morning, Gerard.
Mr. Keshe, before you said Earth is a nursery, and the universal community, they are watching for everything, and in a way they are teaching us here in Earth. Why they let all this, let's say, evil come through for all these thousands of years?
There is a rule in the universal community, and you will abide by it. When you become man of a space, when you become members or part of universal community, this is your obligation. You give, and depends on the receiver wants to receive. You never interfere. The knowledge has been given to man and elevated the soul of those who were supposed to be they were supposed to be elevating others. But in the process of time, man has chosen. Many times correction has been put in. If the intervention of the universal community has not been there, man would have been the wild beast as in the jungle. You got to understand something very, very interesting regarding the soul of the man and the physicality of the man. The way the soul of the man and soul of the physicality of the man is positioned and he has processed itself has led to a given intelligence. And that intelligence has a common denominator with the rest of the universal community. It's not just that because you can walk on two legs, you gather the intelligence. It's because of the combination of interaction of fields. And in some strength, you can receive the universal energy fields. But the enlightenment is depending on the man. And this is what I've said in a different word for such a long time. People take from this technology according to their intelligence. Many of the men of earth who possessed or reached the position of understanding the totality have already become man of universe. Many, many over centuries. And those, as I said, who were used or abused through the path of weakness, but they understood the strength or strength field of the emotion of weakness of the man, they have brought in different lies. This is why from the beginning we always said we are not a religious group. We have nothing to do with the faith, because the faith is the understanding of the soul of the man by the man himself in the dimension of his physicality. So, we are not a religious group. We never become, because we carry the science of universe. The knowledge man received, all of us from the day of our creation of our soul, received the messages of what is being given to the others to be peaceful. It's us who has decided the difference. It's us who decide the limitation of where and how much of it we want to go. We are beautiful people, we are such a gorgeous lovers to our lovers, and then the same man becomes the worst enemy to the others. So we chose. It's not that we were left alone. The option, the clarity is with the man. How come you worship and love one child and hate the other? But you were the creator of both. So you chose, not the children. So is the same with the love of God, which is you, the creator of it. Man received the message from the beginning through his creation. He chose how to handle it and how to ignore it, because the term of physicality to him was something he could touch and feel, and was tangible, and it was perfect for him. If we could, what I said, like the space agencies who use the rocket and the propulsion to get out of this space to become part of what you call another planet or whatever, call our work wrong, who's there to believe? Them who hide themselves behind the gates to lie to themselves, or you who see the effect of the pen, pads, maggraph systems, and you know you have access to a new source of energy and light. The message is being given. Man has chosen different ways according to his power. This is what I said, if you find the strength of the power, where man becomes power hungry, like a food, and you can elevate that soul to become equal to the others, there will be no kingship. It was given to Moses, he refused to deliver, because then he couldn't call himself a king. Any other question?
Yes, I have a question. Good morning, Mr. Keshe. This is Gatwa.
Good morning, Dr. Kato.
I'm looking at the star formation within our bodies, and you mentioned that the soul would be the sun, one of the reactors, which is a giver. The heart is a receiver, so it's gravitational, and the lungs are gravitational too. Which would be the fourth reactor, or does the lung act as two reactors?
Long access to reactors. Go back to the previous teachings.
Thank you very much, Mr. Keshe.
You're welcome.
Fernando had a question in the Q&A. I'm not sure if he wants to actually ask it. Fernando, would you like to speak? Or I think Ursula sometimes has to translate for him. He had his hand up before. I'll allow him to talk and see if he'd like to ask his question. Hello, Fernando, are you?
Bueno, buenas noches.
Yes, hello. Do you need a translator with Ursula? Maybe so. Ursula, can you translate for us?
I'm here, yes.
Okay, if you two can work it out so that we can get the question correct. Go ahead.
Bueno, buenas noches. Un saludo desde México. Son las casi 3 de la mañana. Y me gustaría que Mr. Keshe respondiera una pregunta.
Fernando voy a traducir. Alors, c'est Fernando Rendon. He comes from Monterrey, Mexico. And you want to ask a question to Mr. Keshe.
Es sobre el Mesías, sobre por qué es tan complicado que las personas entiendan o comprendan que somos mensajeros de la paz a través de este conocimiento.
Espera. The question is, why so many people has difficulties to understand that we are all Messiah?
Todos somos mensajeros de la paz. ¿Por qué es tan complicado para las personas entender que se llegaron nuevos tiempos y que tenemos que ampliar este conocimiento para nuestra propia evolución?
Espera. He asked why we are all so difficult to understand that we are all messengers of peace, and that we need to understand and have more knowledge to become a Messiah.
Cada persona en este planeta que ayuda a otra persona que tiene dificultades es un Mesías, es un mensajero de paz y es un mensajero de amor.
Everybody that helps somebody on this planet is a Messiah, and give and help and can teach others.
Hacemos nuestro mejor esfuerzo en este planeta.
We can make a big effort on this planet to become a better person.
Pero no tendría que ser tan difícil para todas las personas racionales entender que todos somos mensajeros de la paz a través de este conocimiento.
And it should not be so difficult to understand that we can all become a Messiah or even a better person.
Venimos a servir y no a ser servidos.
We come here to serve and not to be served.
Y vamos a elevar nuestras almas a través de entender que estamos aquí para ayudar a los demás. Muchas gracias.
And we will elevate our souls in giving and helping others. Thank you to all.
Thank you very much. I think there is a slight misunderstanding in the totality from the first question. We are all tired, but and not for others. This is where the rest of the problem comes. If we can give from our soul to the right way, that our conduct in physicality is in line with the conduct with our soul, we have become the savior of our own physicality. And that's what the Messiah means. It doesn't mean that you become Messiah for your son, your neighbor, your nation. If you live through the correct conduct of the soul with the interference of whatever in between, then you have reached the maturity of man. Where the conduct of the physicality is the mirror of the wish and the conduct of the soul of the man. A lot of us look for Messiah, that somebody will come and salvage everything on the day of judgment. The day of judgment, it was in one of the 22 commandments to Moses, and he took it out. Because then he knew he cannot do. I'm gonna tell you one by one the 12 commandments. You can read on the net. I asked Rick to be ready for it. Could we have the 12 commandments on the screen, please? And then let's add to it. And then you find out the knowledge has been correct from day one. And man would have not been here. This message, which was given as a formation of light, which is the essence of interaction of the creator's field with the essence of the creation of the man, what you call as prophets, not in the word of God that man has converted it to. He felt, and that feeling was converted into writing by Moses, Buddha, and the rest. And this is where it comes. Buddha and others took the path of the soul in conduct of the man. The Abrahism came down through the physicality of the man to abuse because of the pleasures of physicality. And you see the difference between the two paths of the same message. The same light was used or appeared to all when they reached that enlightenment. And then the interpretation was done according to what they wanted to do or abuse or to give, not in the direction of physicality, but in the direction of the soul of the man. Would you like to read the 12 commandments, please? Just the headlines. But
the 12 commandments, you mean the 10 commandments, Mr. Keshe?
there is 12 of them. There's 2 more behind.
Okay, so 12 commandments. I look up 12 commandments in Wikipedia, like in Google, and I'm not sure what to go for here. We have like...
Find the English one, otherwise we got to get a translation of it.
That's definitely not it. That's definitely not it. That's definitely not it. Nope, that's, well, no, that's not it. Let me see. Let's look it up again with Wikipedia here.
Disculpen.
Read the 10 commandments and then we carry on, if that is easier to find.
Okay. So, okay, it comes up. I don't think 12 commandments comes up. They have 10 here. And do you want to look at any
Read it one by
particular...
one. No, just read the 10.
Okay, it shows them here. Maybe I can make this bigger. Let me try and make it a bit bigger. There we go. Okay, it says the 10 commandments. I am the Lord thy God. No other gods before me. No graven images or likenesses. Not take the Lord's name in vain. Remember the Sabbath day. Honor thy father and thy mother. Thou shalt not kill. Thou shalt not commit adultery. Thou shalt not steal. Thou shalt not bear false witness. And thou shalt not covet.
Eh,
And
disculpen,
this is everything at the bottom which Moses did himself. He killed.
disculpen, había aprendido algo de algún texto y disculpen, es que es en español. El hombre, por su arrogancia, no quiere que nadie, ni siquiera Dios, le prohíba nada. Pero
¿Me dejas traducir, por favor, que es largo? Fernando, he is talking about a cause of this, the arrogance of the man. He cannot understand the knowledge.
las leyes y mandamientos se hicieron para no autodestruirnos.
The rules and the commandment have been done to not destroy ourselves.
Yo le agradezco a Dios por eso.
And I be grateful to God for all this.
Okay, he's in the background somewhere. Would you like to close the microphone there? If you look, go back to the ones which are there one by one. If you can go back to the 10 above. They were initially, when he was brought down by Moses, he brought 12. And in the process of running his affair, the way he destroyed the other 10, he got rid of 2 more because he would not fit into it. One was, thou shalt not steal. And he killed a lot and he stole a lot. Thou shalt not be adulterous. He killed men of villages and kept the women, which are all married to men, and he took them as his whatever. And he broke everything which he brought with him, every promise. Even it goes to the state of calling himself whatever. In the process, what he did not bring was one, thou shalt not lie. He destroyed one of the first tablets he destroyed was that. Because if he was to rule, he could not tell them that he had more. So that was the first thing he destroyed. One of the commandments to him was that thou shalt not judge. No one except himself. And not to be judged by no one. Because he knew if they will judge him for the lies and what is done, then he cannot do the job. What he did to acquire more physicality power. And the other one to him, the fourth one, was thou shalt be equal to others and do not consider thyself higher or lower than them. Which means when you are equal, there was no leader, there was no kingship. And he could not do because he now found the power that he could do what he wanted to do. So if he would have listened, we would have seen there would have been no kingship, as we said from the beginning, as we are all equal in soul. Our physicality decides the happiness, satisfaction of our soul. He says, thou shalt not touch or carry no arms to defend or to kill another. He took this out because he wanted to use arms to achieve what he wanted. He says, thou shalt be at peace with oneself. with thy neighbor, his tribe and tribes. He could not invade and kill if he was at peace, so this had to be destroyed, because he could not do the coveting which he did, desire of other women in other places which he knew they exist and they were more beautiful. To be able to covet, he destroyed this command. He says, thou shalt be the river of life and love, not only to thyself and thy loved ones, but in equal measure to his enemies. He could not create enemies and love them, so he could not do his invasion and killing. Thou shalt not accept no path, except the path of his own soul to his creator. But he says, I made man in the image of myself. So it means the physicality had to follow the path of the soul to be perfect. He says, thou shalt serve his Lord, thou shalt serve his loved ones, and his own, as he expects to be served by the others. You don't like to be treated wrong, so you don't treat wrong. And one thing which is not put on the top, and this was important because then he could not rule on the name of God, was thou shalt believe to one creator for all men. Then if this would have done, we wouldn't have the religions which came after him, because he took the most important part out of the whole equation of peace of man and elevation of the soul of the man. Thou shalt believe in one creator for all men. Then we don't call one Jew, one Christian, one Buddhist, because at the end it's all made to one. And this is what I said past couple of weeks as President of the United States said, we moved the capital into Jerusalem. That the true essence of the first order of the, what we call the tablet, was this. Then all becomes one. Then there is no religion, different path, we all call it God. And he took it out, because then he couldn't say to the others, you're different, then I have to change you because of what I believe and what I received. Then you understand, when you receive the two, when you become to elevate to understand the work of the soul of yourself with your physicality, then it's complete. There are two missing which came down with him, but he took out. Because they were read to the others, so it wasn't to him anymore. Those two I release in due time. And then you understand the circle is complete. When you mature to understand the work of your soul, through understanding the fields of it, through understanding of the operation of it, then when you hold your hand together and you see the light in the palm of your hand, you don't hold for you to watch, to enjoy the beauty. You give the one who's needed, that he can receive from it what he needs, that he sees the same light as you. The maturity of the soul of the man. The missing commandments of Christ, or what I call Moses, is complete. So we finish with the old cycle and we start with the new. Because with the new, what we have taught, it means we start understanding the commandments of the universe, which is one. which is the totality of the 24, which is the mirror image of the Creator. It says, I made man in the image of myself. Man made the image of himself as a physical condition from his soul. And it does not need the physicality, but he made the image of his soul in the soul of the man. Right? To go in the dimension of physicality, interaction of the inertia of this planet, it created that physicality. So it could memorize and multiply in so many ways to create what it is. In so many times, the present scientists, those who are involved in the deep science of space and go in depth to understand, have already seen and understood this. Many philosophers of East have reached this point because through the path of the belief through Buddha and the rest, they elevated their soul, not their physicality. So for them was easy to reach, to understand the position of the interaction of the soul of the man with the soul of the universe. And then understanding that they are part of the creation of the universe and not this planet. The Christian world, the Jewish world has been waiting for these commandments to complete for thousands of years. Now it's done. But the promise was, when they are done, then the man has reached a point of maturity to go into the next step. I have completed the balance 10. And I walked you through it very slowly in the past time. Now it's for you to elevate your own soul. And remember, do not judge and not allow no one to judge you. Do not become arrogant as you are equal. Then there is no kingship. As men you are all equal. Then you are all kings. The king of your own physicality and your own soul, and no one else. Then you understand, when you are equal and you are no king to no one, there is no need for armies and no need for killing. Then the whole commandments make sense. There is the last one, which a lot of people don't understand the true essence of it. It says, thou shalt not covet.
Mr. Keshe, there is a list of 12 commandments that I've found that has been suggested to me by a couple of people. And maybe we could look at that because it splits up that last one from thou shalt not covet to thou shalt not covet your neighbor's house and you shall not covet your neighbor's wife. So maybe I could show that and you could talk about that.
We stick to one because that is.
Okay, fine.
The coveting does not come of dreaming of the beautiful wife of the next door neighbor or the man who you saw on the street. Coveting is for the soul of the man. Because the Christ took the second commandment, I spoke about the soul 2-3 teaching before. The coveting comes from, I want the soul like him to be as good as him. Not, I serve to become the giver, that he becomes better than me. The coveting is not the physical coveting that a lot of people talk about, dreaming of. Because most of these commandments were taken out of context, destroyed by Moses. It was not completed. One of the things which Moses took out, he had to take it out, was "Thou shalt not rape." And we know why he took it out. At the beginning when he brought, and then when it happened in his time, he could not tell people not to do what he did himself. Because it was already given to the high masters. That's your number 11. Rape did not mean physical rape, but it was rape of intelligence and understanding the soul of the man, to abuse the physicality of the man. That's simple. Now put the 21 you have up to now, you will understand easily the 22nd. And the 2 will come on the maturity of time when you enter the universal community, in understanding by the elevation of your soul. I have completed the 22 commandments. The cycle of prophet of the past is complete. But those who understood and chose the path of Abraham, but in so many ways applies the same to Buddha and the rest. But take the physical part out and listen and read these in the essence of the soul of the man. Because it says, the first one he received was, "Thou shalt believe in one creator for all men." Then how could he divide those who are his followers and follow his God, and those who do not? The 22 commandments are complete. Totally complete. And these are what was given to Moses thousands of years ago, and it's been given to every man who was enlightened to understand the true creation. Be it the Muhammad, that's his name, be it the Christ, be it the Moses, the Buddha, those who call themselves prophet in the Southern American continent in time of the past, those who became the prophet of those in Australia with different names and features, those in the Far East, they all received the same. I gave the same, so it was equal to all children. It's the path which we chose, and that's what the difference is. The day of judgment, as he said, you never judge and you don't allow no one to judge you. So you're always aware of your own conduct that does not need to be judged, as is always correct. And that's what they took out. Because now, as you are not aware, then we create you the day of judgment. Messiah has come for many of those men who have matured to this point and become part of the universal community, or they decided to stay as men and serve humanity. Not in the shape of ropes to abuse children, to abuse others, to call themselves kings and the rest. We created these kings because the true message was taken out by Moses for Abraham. And that's why we see most of these wars on this part of the world, where they have become part of. I was explaining this to Caroline in the past 24 hours. If you go back to the original tribes of man, there were no shoemakers or there were no fishermen. Everybody fished for themselves and they all live in the same community. If they needed something, they took and they gave. In present language, we call them barter. And that way, everybody was dependent on the other's skill and what they became better at. And in so many ways, by creating these weaknesses in men who could understand the man's weakness, it created the influence of what they call religion, created the influence of what you call financial gains and financial monetary system. And with the teachings which now you have, and you have matured yourself too, you understand you don't need any of them. This is what I said, there are no bankers and there are no churches in the space. Now, it is for us to understand the totality. As I said, I've done my job. I'll teach you more till more of you become mature in understanding the operation of your soul and conversion of the strength of your soul, if you are man of physicality, to confirm your power of becoming mature to understanding of the totality. I teach. It's for you to understand according to your intelligence. And we're all intelligent in equal measure. It's the fear which is put within us by those who abuse our souls in line and connection with our physicality, which has stopped us to open and understand more of ourselves. You don't need no prophet to be enlightened with the light of the Creator and become the creator of the light yourself. Your soul is the mirror image of the soul of the Creator. It depends how you turn the angle of that mirror, that how bright the light of the soul of the man will shine. That's all. And that mirror is the physicality of the man, which reflects the light of the soul of the man. The more you become aligned with the correct, what I call path of life, the more the line of the sun becomes in line with the sun of the soul of the man and shines the same as the light of the Creator. I'm made man in the image of myself. You need a mirror to see the image. And you need to have a mirror, which is the physicality of the man, to understand the position and the conduct of the soul of the man in respect to his physicality and the soul of the Creator. Blessed are those souls who understood. Any other question? The commandment number 12, which Moses took out, was that the man feeds his loved ones the same as with his enemies. And he couldn't do that. The food was not the food of physicality, it was the food of love, the food of giving from one soul. Because food to us, we work for it to earn it, to be able to consume it. He had to give from his soul the same to his enemies as his tribe, and he couldn't do. So he had to destroy it. Now you got the 22.
Mr. Keshe,
Yes, Jalal.
You said you forgive, but you don't forget. And in this way, you are not judging if you are not forget. In a way, how you approach this way without judging.
The forgiving is the maturity. Forgetting, it shows the path to forgiveness. It's two different ways. One is the path and one is the way of living. When you don't forget, you will not make the same mistake. Or you know the path to reach to the same positions faster. You forgive because then your soul is matured enough to receive more. Is a two clear point. One is the path and one is the destination. Not forgetting means you know the path. Forgiving is enough that you can give so much, but it does not take much from you. But the next cycle, you know the path, you can reach it faster.
So that means you can choose a different path to approach.
Yes.
Okay.
But if you have seen what the end result has been, you choose. Do I want to go this path to get to the same place, or the other path to get to the same target as I want? In Italian, we say, all roads end up in Rome. It depends which path you want to take to get to Rome, and what's the aim of it. If you lived in Italy, you understand this very clearly. Wherever you go, you see it says Rome. There's always a line to Rome. Doesn't matter if you come from the south or the north. Any other question?
There is a question in the live stream from Sylviane, who says, Mr. Keshe, you said in a recent knowledge, I think a knowledge seekers workshop, that prisons should not exist. I am in complete agreement with you. Prison being not the solution, love being the source of healing. But we are in a period of transition. What solution is there for people likely to commit new violent acts? Thank you.
In so many ways, if you go to the teaching and listen very deeply, prison is the body of the man. Not the physicality of the prison, as you call it. We have imprisoned our souls and conditioned it to so many wrong things. But if you look at it the other way, and you understood all the commandments, with this, there is no need for prison. That one can be in charge or in control of the other. That no one will do wrong. This is what I said. If all these were taught from the beginning to the man, crime. We always want to be better than we have more. But if we realize we are equal, we serve to give more for the others to be equal as us. It's not philanthropy through the soul. It's understanding that giving through your soul, you have achieved to enlighten and elevate the others. In the past few, especially last week, I explained that a lot of knowledge seekers have started selling goods without certification or whatever, and some of them got very upset. that you have told us blah blah and da da da. Yes, but I told you to teach. I didn't tell you to sell my teaching. It's a big difference. How many of you who start selling the Ganses or whatever, you put a note with it. This is a gift. You paid for my time, but this is the way you do it yourself and you teach it to the others. No, you just spend for the financial gain. You already have failed because never understood the totality. And then they get upset. You ask us for people to report us to the authorities and the rest if we do this and that. Of course, you were taught to share. You were not taught to sell in my name and then change names just to suit. This is the path. A lot of people have become merchant of death in the past, in the name of the kings and the rest. You got to understand, knowledge is given freely with the love and care. It's your soul who has chosen to abuse the others by it. In a way, you're becoming to do the same as what we see with the priests and the mullahs and the rest of today. The only difference is you have found, instead of the bread to be the body of Christ and the wine to be his blood, the ganses and the patches and the pads. We produce them because the funds from it will release to others in the physical dimension. But we haven't seen you doing to anything. You just become more and more for yourselves. Teach my knowledge. Don't sell my knowledge for your own benefit. Then you understand the message. I teach freely. You teach freely. I give unconditionally. I give without judgment. Who's listening? Are these people good, bad, or whatever? I don't judge. And I don't expect you to judge me, because if you were a correct judge, you would have judged yourself first. We have to be in control of our work, not others to judge us. Because then they bring their own, what I call feeble, misguided works into it. When a man needs a judge, it means he is not mature.
Keshe,
Yes, Asajay.
who's going to collect the Wikipedia now?
Keshe Foundation has own Wikipedia. Correct it there and add to it. It's not correction, it's adding.
Yeah, I meant adding. Yeah.
Keshe Foundation has own Wikipedia. Any other question?
Good morning, Mr. Keshe. This is Boniface.
Yes, Paris.
Thanks for what you can clarify.
We just lost you. We just lost your voice.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Perhaps it will be helpful if you could clarify what you mean by judging. And because there's a school of thought that says when we look at someone's behavior and evaluate whether they're doing right or wrong.
Stop. I'm going to stop you there. The judging is man's being aware of his own conduct. That's all. True conduct, not what he imagines to be. A lot of us do sins, as you call it, and we find an excuse to do it. So we already have judged ourselves. And we have found a judgment to pass that there is a reason for it. That's all.
Okay, so if I may elaborate on my question a little bit. When people are selling your teaching, you know, like the Ganses and whatnot, and you are pointing out that, you know, they're doing something that they're not supposed to be doing, is that not judging?
No, that's my prerogative, it's my knowledge. It's them who came to me, not me to them. I don't judge. The judgment is for them to decide what they do, right or wrong. You have to always clear your point, why you made the system and how it's got to be used. For the person who uses your system, you made a computer, you made a machine or whatever, it's not a judgment. You give the instruction, the manual. We gave the manual. That was, this is the process, and teach it. If you have to put your time and make it, to teach it, then you follow the process. Not just taking the part of the teaching out and just make it to make profit out of it. We didn't say stop making anything. We said two things very clear. Do within the law, which is the correct way. It's you who's got to judge, am I within the law or not? Secondly, we said, when you do, teach. There are many people who start running workshops around the world in my name, and we see them disappearing. Because they open these workshops only for the profit of their own pocket or whatever they could do with it. We had the peace conference in Italy. The first peace conference, no, it's the first peace conference in Italy. And I put the books, my 3 books, on the table outside, and I put a cup next to it. I didn't put a man to sell the books. I said, if you need it, you take it free. You pay for what you value it. It's for the man to judge. Am I going to take the book? I want to learn knowledge. I can afford it, but I want to see what it is. Or I pay for it because then I read it because I paid for it. I did not judge who's going to take it, has got the money to pay or not, or who has no money, takes it because he needs the knowledge. The judgment is by you. The system has a manual. If you don't use it the way it's written, you will not get the same end product. There's no use heating up the milk and adding the lemon the wrong time to it, depending on what you wanted to make. It's the same heat, it's the same milk, and it's the same lemon. Would you like cheese? Or would you like something else from it? It's you who decided which way to go. My work has a manual. You want to reach it, to achieve it, follow the way the instruction is on the manual. Serve, share. And if I share and serve, this is what I get, what I need for it, then it's for those who accept it to share with you. But always share my knowledge with every manual, every piece you sell. Not to become the priest that they have to come to the same church to gain the same. This is what you all missed, and I kept on saying to many people. Teach in your workshops to those freely who come, and let them do. Not make the workshops a banking system for them. And then they sell products with it. It's become a cattle market. I'm alive and they're still started abusing it. So if I don't put it correct now, it never will be corrected. Doesn't matter who gets bothered. It means they want to carry on with the same path. They want to judge I'm wrong because they've done wrong. Stay within the law. Stay within my instructions, and you will see the gift you receive.
Okay, one more try at my question, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
What word would
You
you
never
use?
understood the answer. That's why you're trying again, because it doesn't
Okay,
fit into your understanding, because the abuse is there.
okay. So what word would you use to describe those who are not following your instructions?
They have to judge themselves. They means they have to understand what they're doing wrong, not me. They have to understand, not me. Then I have to be there to judge every day. They are there with themselves and their souls. Go through all the teaching, not just the part which suits you. Then you can do the abuse. I've seen this many times. If you go to the Iranian history in the present past, there is in the writing of Baha'u'llah, it says, bless his name, one loves not only his nation, but the whole world. And what they do in Iran, they take the whole world out, and it says, Baha'u'llah says not to love your own nation. And they prosecute Iranians, Baha'is for that. Because it suits them that way. But was it the total message? He says, do not love your nation alone, but love the whole world. Who's judged and who served? You understand, I have no fear for my life. I can speak the truth and the correct. Those of you who have fear of what might happen to you, you adjust it the way it is. Just to suit you. I don't need to suit no one. I just need to be correct with my own soul, that the message is done correct way and is given as a whole. But in the steps that it can mature the man, not to flood the man, to drown the man. You know the story of the king who came from the desert and knocked on the door of the old woman, and she opened the door and says, I'm thirsty. It was a thirst for knowledge, if you translate it the other way. The woman went in and came back with a big bowl of sweet water with a lot of straws on the top. And the king was thirsty. And he had to keep on blowing the straws away that he could drink as fast as he could to satisfy his thirst. And then when he satisfied his thirst, he turned on the woman and says, you stupid old woman, why did you put out the straws in there? Couldn't you see I was thirsty? She said, if I had given you without the straw, you drank the whole thing in one go, you would have killed yourself because you've been thirsty for such a long time. This way he took the knowledge, the thirst, slowly with the water away. And that saved your life. This is the same with my teaching. If I give it a lot, you will hang yourselves because you don't understand it. But I taught you the same, with a lot of straws in it. Make the mistakes, let you make the systems, let you come up with the new positions. Otherwise I could have shown you the flying system and the creator and the soul of the Christ from the day one. It's my wisdom. And your hunger to bypass everything. One of the things when you mature in the soul, it says, "Thou shalt not possess." Possession brings kingship. Possession brings demolishing others. When you share and you serve, you don't possess because you all possess the same. You only possess something when you don't have and you want to get to have. Now you find number 24. Detachment. I remember seeing Moses when he received. He was so joyful, he was jumping up and down. And then, at one point, that's why he took time in the mountain. When you start reading it to understand it, that he could interpret it in physicality, he saw a lot of it wasn't what he came up to the mountain for. Said to him, take the whole, not the part. He took the whole, but by pretense of being heavy, he dropped the whole. It wasn't written in a stone, it was carried with his soul. He wrote it down. The heaviness was on the soul of the man, not on the weight of the stones. Any other question?
Well, it's interesting. We have David had his hand up before, and now we have Peter, Paul, and Mark. All the biblical names seem to be coming up here. I think Paul is actually maybe not Paul. You want to go ahead from Paul Swaltz?
Can you hear me?
I didn't think it was Paul.
Paul is not actually Paul. Paul is Lynn.
Yes.
So Lynn is more of a night owl than Paul. My question.
Could you explain to us where you're from, please?
Oh, yes. Lynn and Paul are from Montana, USA. And
You're the couple who your Paul is the veterinarian.
yes, that's correct.
And you got upset by what I said last week.
Yes, I did.
I
And
hope now you understand.
I do, and it's, you know, I'm going to have to think about it. It's a quandary that I'm in, because what I do is, for example, today someone was here at the house and talking to me and talked about her sister, and I had given a group of women some gloves. I said, do any of you have sore hands? And they all said yes. So I gave them all a set of gloves that we had treated with plasma water. Well, one of the women was here at my house today, and she said, well, if you don't mind, I'm going to give my gloves to my sister because she has arthritic hands. I said, well, they're yours. You can do whatever you want. But I said, let me just give you another pair. But
you see, let me stop. Let me stop you.
Okay.
This is where my dilemma is. You did, out of your generosity, give the gloves. We say in English, give a man a fish, you have to feed him whole life. Teach a man how to fish, he feeds himself. The problem with the quandary with you is, when you gave the glove, Did you tell them how it's made, that they can make it, they don't need to come back to you? This is what my problem is.
The gloves are baby steps because nobody.
Doesn't matter. It does not matter. This is what it is. Some of them will never come back to you. One came back. But if they know, because they don't need the glove today, but if they have a pain on the leg, they can't put the gloves on it. They can't wear the gloves. If they have a pain in their, let's say, in their liver or whatever, the glove, because you haven't taught them. This is the problem I have. And I appreciate, I respect both your work, Lina and Paul. I have a lot of respect for your work. But the essence was, don't feed the fish. Teach how to fish. Doesn't matter if you give a fish, till they need the time, they're hungry, they want to catch another fish to feed themselves. There is no quandary. The quandary is leave, give, and teach, but on the basis of, I did not tell you, I give you something, a patch, come and take and use it. I taught you how to make a patch. You were taught, explained, even in the medical teaching in which you are present. Whenever I attended, I explained in detail the process, what it does. People can't understand the process, but they can understand the basic. Teach my technology, teach my knowledge, but understand you're just a messenger, not a one for people to come back to you to ask for the next message. What was the message? That you keep the book hidden. It's on the internet. It's well told. So I understand your problem. I understood your what you wrote to me. But I hope you understand my quandary. My quandary is, I teach and I serve unconditionally. I don't ask for you to pay to come to these teachings. Whoever is paid, get the entrances on the football match, pay and watch. So your soul and your conduct has to be the same.
Mr. Keshe, can I say something?
Yes.
You know, I think perhaps there's something going on. I think sometimes people's intention is, especially some people who are in known and knowledge, they want to attract people. Sometimes, like Paul and Lynn, they want to do something for free, so to see people get their attention, then they can teach. Because in my experience, anybody comes in and asks for a dance or something like this, I want to teach them. And I said, look, if I teach you, you can make it at home. Even the other day, 2 days ago, somebody from Shiraz, you know, they're trying to use the knowledge for healing somebody who's really sick. And I'm instructing them what to do. But then I asked them, I said, look, I can fly to Shiraz and come and create a station for you guys and teach you as a group. So you can create it. And they just said, no, it's not necessary. So in my office, I even tell people, look, I have the basic.
You see, Azarjan, you leave it to them. You understand?
Yeah, but you know, always they say, give me the GANs. I don't want to, you know, so I give.
Yeah, but tell them there is a manual. You read it. This is what, okay, I'll give you this time, but make it yourself next time. This is the difference. If you want to come, you have, you see, I can bake a cake at home, but, and I know how to make it the way I like it, but I don't have the time. I go to the baker. I said, I want the same cake as you gave me the recipe for. It's a big difference. And this is the knowledge. One of the reasons I put it this way and I teach it this way is, we have opened the universal community to man. You're going to have a lot of problem in paying and getting paid in the space. So you have to learn that you give unconditionally. And when is need, that your soul sees the need, receives the knowledge unconditionally too. It's understanding in a different way. It's not just giving a patch. We don't open the factory in Accra or whatever and putting patches on the street. No, we accumulate to teach, to give to the others. We are not what you call the guy who takes from the poor to give to the rich. No. And we don't take from the rich to give to the poor. We take the money from the rich, the ones who can afford it, that by giving to the poor, the blessing of the soul elevates the soul of those who provided them. This is a difference. This is what we got to understand. The game has changed, so we try to fit it in what we know at the present time. You know Robin Hood? Do you know where the term Robin Hood comes from? Rob is stealing. Hood, the man who was stealing using what nobody knew what's under it. Taking from the rich to give to the poor. That's where the name Robin Hood comes. Stealing under the cover. This is what we have ended up with. We are there. We give for those who can financially do till we elevate the whole. And then we give to the poor. That the blessing on receiving goes back to the rich man who made the payment. This is very much what I taught in my teaching. Everything is in line. I said the man who makes the gun carries and receives the pain of the soul of the soldier who shoots the bullet. The man who's the director of the arm factory is the same. So is our work in the condition of the Accra and other factories. The man who pays to buy a bottle of water or a power generator or maglev system or the patches which are made, his money is paid to supply, to give to those and educate and bring facility for the rest of the people in Africa. That the blessing of the one who receives the water and the pain does not go to me, goes to the worker of the factory, goes to the man who bought the bottle. There is no difference in work of the creation. It's us who have to understand the totality. This is what I said. My instructions is on the table everywhere. Anybody can go on the internet and make it. You can't, we make it, but what comes from it is shared by the others. In a way, I become the merchant of the elevation of your souls. I arrange factories to sell so much that they bless you from what you provide them, that in a way I become just as part of the system. I live a good life. The man who bought the bottle because he needed it has paid to live a good life, and the one who receives from the benefits of the work of the factories has a good life too. Because in a way we don't rob anymore and we have no hood to cover us. We work as one in the openness. It's our judgment. It's us, we judge ourselves, not the others. This is the difference. You teach. I teach. People come to me. Nobody comes to me and asks for a patch. But you are there because I teach. If I make a patch, I give a man a piece of cloth. But with it goes my soul and his level of understanding what he wants to do with it. I don't give a patch because they tell them, go on the internet and read it. It's there. This is how we have to understand the work of the foundation. In the coming time, we work to teach. These patches, these magraph systems, these power supplies are nothing, nothing compared to what you lot can do in a coming time who understand more. You will talk about the old time. You remember we used to make ganses, now they're child play? There is so much more to learn in the process of using these ganses. But the only problem is, you don't teach enough that the more knowledge comes back in that we can all learn more. You want to sell, and when somebody pays for something, does not need to understand how it's made. And that's where the problem is. People have to understand that through this, it's not just the GANs, then they understand the fields. You can explain, or they can read that the fields becomes the level of the strength of their soul, and they can elevate their souls. They see the process of the use of the glove or the patch, but understand the fields of it is the field of their own soul. Then they can elevate themselves to become the universal community part of. This is where my problem is. And this is what you do not see.
So, Mr.
I'm not a philanthropist. Sorry. I'm not a philanthropist. I am a man of God. Because I am God. Because God in our language means the creator. I am the creator of my own physicality. So in that order, I decide how the energies and the fields of my physicality as a creator of me is used. I shall not steal. You cannot steal from what I've decided my physicality to contribute to serve humanity. It's you who want to abuse, but you want to give it a form and conformity that it satisfies you. It's not the shape we put it down. And this is important for all of you to understand. We have a structured society we call nations as one nation. In this society, because of whatever we have brought in conditions, and the new conditions are very easy. It's just me who I have to judge. Nobody else. And it's me who has to be correct, and nobody else. And it's me who has to serve, and nobody else. And that's all. I hope, Paul and Lynn, I answered your question, and I hope you understand. I appreciate your work. I highly appreciate the knowledge you have brought and you bring. But slight correction saves you a lot. We are not here for elevation of the pocket of the man. We are here for elevation of the soul of the man. And it's what I said. The man who makes the design of the gun shares in the pain of the suffering of the man who shot the bullet. So is the benefit of the soul in teaching, in receiving, when you relieve a soul from his pain. Then he can share. When the soul is in pain, he takes most of the energy to compensate for his pain. When you elevate the man and alleviate his pain, he has more to give back to you and to his society as a soul level. A man with a cancer in bed cannot do anything but to take. When you take a cancer from a mother and she's on the road with her children and educates the next education, the next cycle of man in a correct manner with love and care, we have helped the society in the next cycle. But we save one soul. This is the difference. And the sooner we understand this, the faster we elevate our own soul to enter not only the universal community, but the point of judgment that when we leave the physicality, we go in a balance, not in debt. When we are in debt, we have to find another way to pay for it. Any other question?
I'd like to just add one thing, that when we provide things for people, especially the energy station, we have instructions on how you can make patches to share with other people. And we have videos on the website to explain more about them. I used to send about 12 pages of information. And what I found was people did not read it. So I sent less information and said, here's where you can find.
Don't do that, please. Don't do that. Don't become the judge what they don't understand. Let them judge themselves. You understand?
I do.
Let them, it's there. They might read one word in one sentence and enlightens them to something new. When you judge they receive too much, then you are back in the same wrong track. Make it 20 pages. Make it 100 pages. It's for them to search for it. This is something which we've been taught the wrong way. Huh? We think people don't understand. Everybody understands everything, but it depends what word suits them. You understand? Don't limit that you have or you put. I've been to you, because I had to go and look at what was said to me, what you wrote, and a couple of other people we have been in touch with, or we have told them, and we told a lot of people to correct your way, is that you're all doing a good job. You're spreading the knowledge, you're spreading the whole thing. But realize one thing, do not judge who understands what. Leave it to them to understand what they judge themselves for. Do you understand? Do not limit with 10, 12 pages. You have a beautiful website. You teach a lot. And that's how it should be. But the problem comes, as I said, stay within the frame of legal framework. Because we understand, we have seen how these people who understand it will come up with a new knowledge. They add to our knowledge. They add to their community knowledge. They add to their society. It's not for us to judge. And people like you are the cornerstones of teaching new technology. But what you do, these are the conditions we do, has to be within the conformity of the law. Let me tell you why. You thank us for it in the future. We have come to understand there are people who are producing gases in a dangerous way. They don't understand. To them, we do whatever we like. I can mention the name of the guys. But if they damage, then who's going to get damaged? You and me. When you are controlled and confirmed within it, you follow the procedure the way it is, you understand it. We had somebody who wrote to us, I tested the gas and it was toxic. We asked one single question. Did you follow the instruction? Did you wash your plate from caustic when you took it out? No, I didn't. So now your test you did is wrong. Then when they tested, they said it's correct, it's not toxic. Because if you follow the procedure, a lot of people who are there, it's just cowboys. They're just there, they've seen a name, they do it. We come, we listen. You got to understand something very interesting for you maybe. I don't need to be in a place to see to understand. I'm there present in the soul of the man. I understand, I comprehend, and in time, many of you will do the same. I protect you with what I said, not to endanger you. But you have to understand, sometimes the pill brings some pain or bad taste in the mouth. But the effect of it, the end product is correct, gives the result. We have to protect all the foundation work. First of all, the teaching. First of all. Secondly, the process of understanding. Thirdly, when we do, it works. It has to be understood they can do it, and at the same time, we are safe. I sat with many people with the huge wages in the factories when we set the factories out. A lot of you who set production, you will understand this. If you want to start a production of, let's say, water or plasma power unit to get certification, they come and see your factory. It has to be in a standard. And then when the standard of the production is there, then the FDA comes, then they see the process, they have to certify the process. A to Z takes between 7 to 12 months minimum. When they come to inspect, you don't say we made it. Your workers have to be there, they have to see the process, how they do it. What do? It costs thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars to keep the factories just producing, practicing staff to be there, that when the standard officer comes, when the FDA officer comes, when the random inspection comes, it's exactly the same recipe. It's not just for us, it's for every production in the world. So, to be correct, we spend a lot of money. To franchise our own products, to follow our own process, it will be the same. It costs money, it costs time, it costs a lot of effort to get everything right, that every cake tastes exactly the same every time you buy it from the shop, without contamination, without a screw in it. So when we ask for, please get certification, because they come and check your process. They evaluate, they test it, if it's toxic, if it's not toxic, if it has the field effect, it doesn't have, then you are correct when you go out, you're supported. To build the factory in Italy, the first one, it cost me nearly $500,000. We built the factory, 22 people, 24 people were there every day building units, because when the inspection came, when the certification was made, when this laboratory test was done, all came correct. We get inspected every day when we run. They just walk in from FDA. They walk in from standard board to see if it's followed. And do you know what is funny? These people who you see in the background writing, they encourage them more to come. And the more they come to inspect there is something wrong, the more they learn, the more support the foundation. Nobody has helped the foundation more than those who opposed us, because we had to keep correct. And being correct has brought enlightenment to the scientists who understand the process now, because coming there so frequently, they are promoting us. I ask you to be correct, to sell goods with certification, because first of all, nobody can touch you. Secondly, nobody can say there is something wrong with it. Thirdly, it gives us a reputation to be correct, not to harm anybody. We are trying to come to achieve a standardization worldwide on the gases and all the products, but this takes time. It's a new technology. We are using the most reputable research centers, laboratories that all the governments accept, that when we put the name of the laboratory which is tested, it means already credibility. Please understand, we are not there to harm you. We are there to protect the foundation, to protect you, and to deliver a correct product to give the right result, that people, by receiving the right result, support the work of the foundation. Today, as we speak, the Keshe Foundation management team has not had a Christmas holiday. We all worked. Those are Christian and non-Christian. And those people who work behind us, we haven't had a shutdown of the Keshe. Keshe Foundation has not shut down with the factory production and the management team. We are 24 hours serving. Even our families have become part of the work. For who? Why do I need to do this? I was wealthy enough to enjoy life before I started this, but the wealth means nothing when I see a mother is there to live and a child has a mother, that he grows up with the love of a mother, not the pain of loss of a mother. So it's worth to not have had. Just do it with us. The correct way, the way we asked. Then we go faster, we go the correct way, and we do the right job in the way we serve. And that's all we are here for. We don't judge. I'm not here to say who's right or wrong, but I say, the reason I put it out was to serve, and to serve, please do it the correct way. If everything else fits you right, please do the other bits right too. Or allow us in next few years, in next few months, to open factories that you become part of the factory with our certification, you work through us. Where you will see we open up the doors to all the people who are inventing to go through us. You will finance, you will support you to build up your own factories and everything else. Keshe Foundation, as of 1st of January, becomes a market value organization. We'll explain to you in the future. We become one of the most organized, publicly supported technology. We need no government support because the humanity will do it. We explain the right time, the right way. Then you understand. There will be and there is enough finances to support the work of you, Paul and Lynn, in the right way, but through the right conduct. You are there to do the job, but do the job the correct way. You don't sell the patch, but you provide the teaching. You sell it, but this is the way it's made. Doesn't need the FDA. Does it need FDA? Does it need to be the correct way? Have I made it the correct way? The manuals will all come out. We have not made an exclusive company for us to do only. We have made a common industry for all of us. So we have to be correct. All of us have to be correct, because if one of the fingers hurts, the others can't operate the same. I hope you understand. We are here to serve you the correct way, but please follow the manual that you get the same product. We're serving humanity. Any other question? Any other question?
We had Peter with his hand up. Peter, do you want to go ahead with your question? You'll have to unmute your microphone. Oh, Peter? Okay, well, we have another question from Like, who says, is there something called Judgment Day? Is that a question that you can address, Mr. Keshe?
What do you mean?
I think we'll have to get, Like, I can have him, allow him to talk and see if he can clarify his question. Like, can you go ahead and speak? You can unmute your microphone now and talk. Okay, I'll unmute you and see if you can hear what you're saying there. Go ahead.
Yes, Mr. Keshe. Good morning.
Yes, we hear you.
This morning in California. Yes, I was trained. I grew up a Catholic, and we were told that there's a judgment day. I've always been
Can you repeat
fascinated.
that again, please?
I was born Catholic,
Yes.
and we were told there's a judgment day. I've
Yeah.
always been fascinated. Is there a judgment day where we judge our souls or we judge our deeds?
The judgment day is every day, is every action. That's all it is.
Okay.
They should have explained to us. We have to judge everything we do. I tell Caroline, and I've said many times, you know, when I put my head down at night, I'll sleep at peace. I wake up with worries in what I haven't done that I could have done more of. This is the only worry I have. I could teach more, I could do more. But I never look back, I've done anything wrong to no one. Because I learned that when I was 19. And I've said that many times. I learned what the judgment day is when I was 19, when I accepted this position. And I knew, I judged myself. I've said that many times. I judged, when I received the message to do what I do now, I was 19. And I said, I'm too young, I do not know, I need the experience. So I knew how to judge and how to delay. Again, at the age of 29, 30, the same thing happened. And I knew I'm not still mature to accept the responsibility because I didn't gain the knowledge to do. So I judged my position. And I knew my capability and knew the expertise I don't have to be able to stand. And when I came back to me around the age of 39, 40, I knew I'm ready to go. But still took about a few years in accepting it to become master of it, to understand how to judge, nothing else. And this is it. And this is what is important to all of us. Everything we do has become a judge. I've said many times, I don't know why I come in people's life and this and that happened to them. I become a judge, jury, and executioner. In a way, I became the judge of myself, not them. And me being correct, they had to find a way to be correct and they sorted themselves out. I don't judge no one.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other question? If you understand it, I have become a messenger of my own soul and I share. No more.
Okay, I can, there's someone with their hand up there. Looks like Lynn again. Did you want to speak again?
Yeah, I just have a question. Where in the United States does one get certification?
We have tried, but we are going a different channel. You have to go through FDA and the organization, laboratories which do the test for FDA. And there is a system, there are companies who do it. We have locked into one of the largest international organizations. It's just by pure chance. I was sitting in Guangzhou airport during the summer in my travels in China, and I just met a man who was waiting. He missed the same flight as me. And we start talking, and he is the head of one of the largest laboratories in the world. He said, Mr. Keshe, I never knew about you. I said, I never knew you existed. He said, everybody in the world knows us. I said, not me. And he said, we accept the job to do these things because it's a new technology, we have to be with it. And Keshe Foundation team in Asia, here in Europe, now they're setting the pattern for them to learn that they can start the testing in the laboratory worldwide, that they issue certificate for us worldwide. It's just when you think right, you do the things the right way. In the United States, you have to go through, but because you're going for the health application or whatever, you will be in a way working through FDA. If you allow us, it will take us another few months because ACRA has to come into operation. We have a FDA certification in ACRA. And we have advisors, we brought advisors in from all sorts of lines of knowledge to be able to transfer FDA ACRA across the world, and it can be done. It's just that because of we had to move out of Atomic Commission to new premises, and now the new premises are getting built and will become, actually I think it's completed today or tomorrow, the first phase of it. Then FDA, what we're going to do, we invite all the FDA officers, health authorities around the world to come to Accra, and then to Italy on the same basis, and then to the 11 factories we are setting up. We have, by the request of FDA, achieved pharmaceutical level production, which means perfect production that it can be used. Everything can be tested, everything is automated, everything is computerized. You will see it when it's done. We are inviting world leaders and what do you call it, prominent scientists to be there on the opening day. And then that will bring the credibility that you need and you do. We are working now at the Italy factory, the others which we will announce in the time to come. You will see it. This is what, you just got to be patient with us. We are doing all the work in the background, everything. Even this morning I received a communication from the management team that they received communication from the laboratory in Christmas holidays. I said, maybe the Father Christmas has woken up, they have done too. So let us do work, just give us time. A meeting of 2015, if I'm correct, by the request of British government health authorities, what to do with the Keshe Foundation health application, has come to one decision, that we stand by, let them grow it, let them bring it in, and then we support. Our technology on the health was discussed on the EU level 3 years ago, by the request of British health authorities. They are aware there is something in the horizon, but they want us to prove it. So we are going slowly through it. And different factories, especially the factory in Arizona, which is planned, we are hoping to be around about 10,000 square meter, hopefully, in the coming time. Hopefully by middle of next year, you will see it. These are all edge of sense technology. It's amazing. I thank the Keshe Foundation manufacturing team. I thank the Keshe management team who's working solidly during the holidays to get these things through. We do the work. Just give us time. Then we certify your inventions for you. Because your inventions is ours. It belongs to all of us. You don't patent it. And we don't need to patent it, but we are there. We have to support you to be able to do it right. Just give us time. World governments are looking at very close with us. They want us to do it correctly. We are receiving a lot of support governmentally. And we need to be correct. And that's what I said. If you find you can get a certification, share it with us that we can get the others to do it. I said the biggest problem for you as Keshe Foundation supporters who become manufacturers is there is 7 billion of us. If you have 1,000 factory with 1,000 people working on it, you can provide only 1/6 of us. So we cannot reach everyone. Share knowledge, we share it, is your right, we do it, this is what we said. The opening day of the Accra factory, Italian factory, and the others which will release, will be like a blueprint day. It's a blueprint of how to set up a factory in a new plasma fuel section. You'll be with us when we open, when the world leaders are there. We are not short of assets. We are short of time to bring it for you lot. You're too impatient. You've been too good a student. You've learned too good. Just be wary with us, that we can protect you. We need to protect you, because by protecting you, we protect the whole of the work of the foundation, new technology, new science, new way. Because you got to realize, we touch agriculture, we touch health, we touch energy, we touch space, we touch material, we touch new communication systems which you don't even have had a chance to understand it yet. We touch new implementation. We touch everything which humanity has worked through one technology. There are those who want to product. Can you close one of the microphones, please? We have to protect you, Lynn and Paul. If I let you down and you have a problem, I have let myself down, and I cannot allow it. Even though sometimes it's a bitter taste pill to take. I don't want you to take the name of the foundation of your web pages. If you're proud to be using it, use it, put it, but understand, work within the law. We saw the guy who was member of the Universal Council. He came to do the wrong thing, and when we found out and we told him he cannot do, he just changed name and got nothing to do with my knowledge. Let it be, but your soul will know. I wondered how much you come and then at the end say it didn't work. Because you went the wrong way. And he's not there anymore to be a member of the council. He came to use the knowledge. We are aware. It's my job as the head of the Keshe Foundation to protect you. If I don't do my job right, I pretend not to be here. But if I'm here, I teach you freely. I have to tell you when you go wrong, that you are protected too. We have requests by world leaders who have illnesses who come to the foundation. By richest people in the world who have diseases, but we are there to help them in the background. We don't go and put their names on the plasterboard, they are there and there. No, we rely on their souls that they support the foundation work their way when the time is right. Just bear patient. We bring you the licenses, we bring the certifications worldwide. I said 35 to 45 factories by the end of next year. We plan for 500 factories in the next 5 years. Because it's needed. Every aspect of the technology needs to be covered. And in so many ways, we do the work to do what we know. You bring the knowledge, you bring the designs, you bring the technology, it's in your name, you'll be benefited by it, and the humanity will be there. We have not even taught you the space fuels, the space stations, the flight system. You've seen the swimming pool in Nigeria, built by the wishes of one man and the hard work of one man. It's operational. You want to learn about it, go to Nigeria, make an arrangement with Keshe Foundation Nigeria, go there, see what are the effects. It's finished. If we had Alex on the phone, online, and he could show us. The Nigerian, we paid for it, we promised, we paid, and it's done, it's beautifully done. And it's there as a research center. And we have allowed the expansion of 10,000 square meter factory space for Nigeria. 200 million or so people to support needs a large size factory. All be done with certification. Any other question? Can you hear me, Rick?
Yes,
Yes.
yes. Here he
Good
is.
morning. Good morning, Mr. Keshe. It's Caroline.
Good morning, Mrs. Keshe. I love you.
I love you too.
What's your question?
I have a very big question. First of all, through the questions people have been asking, a lot of people, it doesn't matter from which religion or what information has been available to humanity in regard of their conduct or their soul. Is it possible to go more into depth, very slowly, to explain the commandments which came, the first 10 as we know, for people to understand them the correct way and not through their physicality, please? I think it's the same way as you advised for the charter to be rewritten or adjusted, that because it's not complete or it's not correct completely. I think a lot of people, the way they ask the questions are related to how they perceive how other people behave, but they never have understood the 10 commands towards themselves personally on soul level.
You see, thank you very much, Caroline John. The problem is that we always looked at the commandments for a physical dimension, not for the application of the soul of the man. Because when we read it, in most of them, it tells us the misinformation between the soul and physicality, or soul of physicality. That's all they are. It says, "Thou shalt not steal." The soul gives freely. It's the emotion which steals that the physicality does not receive. And the emotion is created by us. I explained to Caroline years ago, in a way, what is a lot of you know about the hidden word. The hidden word of Baha'u'llah in Arabic and in Persian are very, very, very done different way. Because you have to go to the past time where they were taught in Arabic, even though they were Persian brought up, Persian birth, but the only line of education was Quran. So in Iran, nobody taught you medicine in a way by books, unless you were after something. But the education was how you read Quran. So the Iranians, especially of the higher class, were only going to maktab or schools to learn how to read Quran. That was all the teaching was. And some maths. In that process, the teaching was done so a lot of Iranians of a higher class could be by language, which means they were both in Arabic and Farsi. And in so many ways they could express themselves much in a deeper essence of soul in Arabic, because Arabic is very specific. And so Baha'u'llah wrote 2 hidden words, one in Farsi and one in English, one in Arabic. And when you read the Arabic hidden word, You see the soul of the man. He could explain it because he understood Quran in Arabic, not in Farsi. When you read the Persian hidden word, you see the weaknesses in the man, which is hidden in the name of the man, in the physical dimension. So even he was aware of the two dimensions, the soul of physicality and the soul of the man. All the commandments, all the hadiths, if comes from the origin of this life of the cycle of the religion, touches the soul of the man. It's the man who is transferred to physicality to suit himself. And we've been through it in the teaching, 100 names of God, but it's 100 names of behavior of the soul of the man. Can you please switch your microphone on, please? This is what is important. This is what we have to understand. The teaching, the commandments are for the soul of the man. But man has up to now translated the physicality. Thou shalt not steal. You do not steal from the soul of the another because you promote the soul of the man. We have one microphone open. If you can close it, please. This is the beauty of what we have to understand. Try to understand. Read the hadiths of Quran, blessed Muhammad. In the name of the soul and what Muhammad said in the elevation of the soul of the man. Then you find out it's so beautiful. It's so exactly what is been taught in all the books of the past and in all the books of the future, because it touches the essence of creation. It was said, the 10th commandment, thou shalt not quote. You understood what it means. It's from the soul. I don't dream of somebody else having a better soul than me. And I want to be with that soul. As I give from my soul, that I elevate that soul to be better than me, that by, if it doesn't need something, I can elevate myself with, but not with that I. But in a way, I give from my soul to elevate the others, so I think about it. How to elevate the others. Not, I think about it just because it's a lover. Try to look at the knowledge of conduct of the man through the soul of the man. The Chinese understand this very, very clearly. They are very close to it. We have to understand through the work of the ganses and fields and understanding the communication with ganses, how our souls interact. You make a gans of copper, you make a gans of zinc, you make a gans of amino acid of copper, you make amino acid of the zinc. See how they react when you have the technology to understand. Then you understand the behavior of your soul with another soul. It's the same, but more of, in more diversity, because you have so many different acidities and combination in your body. It's us who's got to understand the physicality is the end product of a production line which starts in the soul of the man. Would you like to be the user of it, or would you like to be the part of the creator of it? It's you who's got to choose. The faith shows you the physicality. Thou shalt not steal. Oh, I go to the shop, I don't put anything in my pocket without paying for it. No, but I don't touch a soul. I don't take from a soul which is not there for me to take. Then you don't even think of going to the shop. Shall I take or not? It's us who's got to educate to understand the new language, which we knew is not new. We were ignored because we left it to those guys who called themselves the priest to do the misinterpretation that they can abuse us. We open ourselves to abuse when we denied our own soul. That's all. And they used it in the name of what they called God. release the new 12 commandments, as you call it, on the internet and see who opposes it. Vatican will be the first because it's the end of their job. Completion of the commandments was the end of the time of the present cycle, and it's done today. We are not the messengers. We were the people who delivered the message. They messed about with it. Now we delivered it direct. There is no messengers in between. Write the 22 on Keshe Foundation Wikipedia and join the others to see who objects to it. Then we have started a new cycle. Because with this we finish with the old cycle. Now we understand our responsibility as a soul. Now we have to understand the conduct of our own soul. I told you I finished with all the religions because religions is the soul of the man who allows it to be abused. And now you have the whole 22. I gave you the 23rd too. 24th comes off the point of the maturity. In a way, is the key for you to open the door. I am the beginning. I am the end. I've told you that from day one. I've seen the weep of when the messages was received, and I've seen them weeping when they lost it because of the abuse of their physicality. The same messengers. Any other question? Or shall we call it a day?
If Mr. Keshe, Caroline again. So if I understood correctly, if we, let's say, it was Moses that delivered these commandments, if we give to his soul to be elevated, will that affect all the souls and correct it in their path, that it can be, I don't know how to use the word.
It was done by the core team. That's why we are in this position. Those who are the members of the core team, in the first establishment of the core team, we asked to elevate the soul of the prophets that they all become equal. You got to ask who was the Moses. They made the circle of each one responsible for each prophet. And then they took the world leaders to elevate theirs. We've done a lot of work in the background. A lot has been done. The foundation is not just is happening. A lot has been done by the core team. The core team, as I said, the members of the 14 members of the core team, even in the physicality, are not present. The souls is operational and do the work without them knowing. Physicality is a time to pass. We did this. This has been done. Vince, do you remember who took the elevation of the soul of Moses?
I was just having a look myself, Mr. Keshe, at the chart here. I believe it's Armin.
Armin?
No.
Yeah.
No.
Well, your name was beside it here in this chart, at least, originally. And the president of Russia as well as the leader. That was, maybe that chart changed? Was it somebody else for you, Armin?
I don't remember I took Moses.
His soul, he took it. Doesn't matter his physicality. The beauty of it is that though a lot of work has been done as collectively, when we work as a core team, it's not that I elevate this and that. We elevate in totality all. And it's a beautiful work. When you work with a core team, is more or less different people from different part of the world, understanding of different ethoses. And I remember at that time, I took President Obama as the man I could handle. And we did a good job with him. You will see what will come with him because of the misconduct. But the elevation of the souls of the prophet of the past, because they have the souls which are committed to them, and they work. So we'll see. We've done a lot of work in the background. There is a lot of unification has come to be where we are today. A lot of work has been done in the background. It's a lot of work done by you as knowledge seekers. You got to understand, I ask you, even Lynn and the others who teach, and then you understand what I'm talking about. How many of you, when you give these gloves, when you give these patches, when you give these teachings, ask any of the people in your audience, are you a Jew? Are you a Christian? Are you a Muslim? You've done what I've done. You taught unconditionally. And so through the prophets of they follow, they have received the message. You are just a confirmation. That's why you're working so fast, so quick. Because the message has gone through the path of the founders, of their path. We have a number of modules who are coming up. They will show the work very soon to you. Motions have not been trained in a physical dimension. They've been taught in the dimension of the soul of the man. When they are ready and matured in the second part of their teaching, then you will see them shine. It's been the same with the core team, it's been the same with the Earth Council and then the Universal Council. The work is done, they get together, their time to spend to do their wishes to command, and it will be done. Because now they are there to serve the totality and the one name. This is what was done. If my wish was, the only wish I had was, if Moses would have thrown all the 10 commandments in the bin and carried one with him, we would have been totally different. And that was, thou shalt believe in one creator for all men. Then nobody would have been jealous, nobody would have done the rest. We have a lot to go, we have a lot to learn, but the problem is, this school has 7 billion students. And we have all sorts, those are who have carry a lot of lines of abbreviation of names of doctors and professors, and their soul is still in the nursery. And we have those who clean cars and their souls sit in the universities of the soul of the man. The degree of physicality does not show the level of the soul of the man. And that's the beauty of it. That's why in Keshe Foundation SSI we give no certification. Because we only teach. And the elevation of the soul of man at the point of need becomes the graduation of the man. Not in what we ask in the term of physicality. Join the KFSSI and learn. Learn the knowledge and the purity of his teaching. Go back to the first days until now, even today. Some come because they have to emphasize their existence, that they know more, but in fact listen to their soul, not to their mouth. As I said to the head of the education on KFSSI, I'll be teaching next term on the KFSSI. I've asked to be going back into teaching, because in private teachings I touch the soul of the man. And in this term, coming term, I'll be teaching directly as I used to do in Barletta and in Trent. Learn the essence. Not the physicality and product. Yeah, the question.
I'm just looking through our questions here. There was a question from Sylvain from the live stream. When we sleep, our soul is free from materiality. Are our creative thoughts more powerful? So let me give you that to you again. When we sleep, our soul is free from materiality. Are our creative thoughts more powerful?
When we sleep, we use less of what is given by the soul, and then the soul has its own dimension. We don't sleep in space. One of the most horrible things for man in space is sleep. Because if you reach the process of understanding no interference between the soul of the man, physicality of the man, when you go to sleep, or what you call to resting the physicality, you find out you're aware of all the thoughts of physicality. You don't physically sleep. It's a very, very strange feeling. You just see the body going through, and you know you have to let, but at the same time you are fully awake, operating with whatever needs to be done. Then there is no night and day, because in space there is no night and day. We don't have the sun to rotate to tell us. The physicality receives what it needs, does not need the rest time to what I call recharge. And most of the cycle that we go to sleep has come, we have taught our body to do it, is because when we started life in the past 100 years, we have the electricity and whatever. There was no light, we couldn't see, so we sat down. Sleep was a natural process, doing nothing. In a space, we don't have this. You'll see our clockwise works changes. It will change because there is no rotation of sun. As I said to the Jeddah University guys, the professors who called me to see if they're going to send a student to KFSSI, was, which way would you like to pray? When the sun rotates, the earth rotates, and then you're in a deep space. Which way you want to find your Makkah, except your own soul? And then, would the soul of the man ever sleep? We have brought this habit of sleeping because of old ancestral time. When it was dark, we had nowhere to go, we couldn't see, we didn't develop the sight at night, so we tried to stay kaput, so we put all the energy to, in a space we don't have this. We'll be alert, awake. There'll be no times, there won't be Christmas, there won't be New Year, because there won't be nothing in time of the Christmas. It'll take millions of years because you travel at such a high speed. Or would you receive it every few seconds is a New Year? A lot of things needs to be taught, and a lot of things need to be accepted and understood, not by forcing, but by understanding. When we are in space in a few years' time, traveling in a space beyond the dimensions of this solar system, would there be a Christmas? Or shall we spend the time with Christ? That there will be no need for his birthday celebration as we celebrate every presence with him. We got a lot to learn. This time we don't leave the man alone till we mature the man, because we've seen the abuse of the man by the messengers and their cronies. When we educate the soul, nobody can abuse the soul, because the soul is aware of totality, not the weakness of physicality. I don't let no one insult no one, and those who insult have seen their way out of the foundation. Because when you insult, it shows your lack of understanding and not deserve to be a human. Because the soul of a human is sacrosanct. It means you have to go back to the school to learn. To the school of the soul of the man in the dimension of physicality. Any other question? So we call it a day. It's nearly 12 o'clock.
Yes, we're into it for about 3 hours here now, so perhaps we've worn you out enough.
Releasing the messengers of Creator in the name of which was given to Moses was a very hard decision. Because nobody can touch no one if the man understands the totality of the message. Now it's complete. And it's been there for thousands of years to be opened up. And on the other hand, let any of them, the Jews, the Christians, the Muslims, put a finger on it and say, it cannot be done. It finishes with a lot of things because it starts us opening our eyes to the work of the soul of the man. It's not a commandment, it's understanding the work of the soul, which commands us what to do, to be conduct correct, and to understand we are all equal. We start a new calendar in the Christian calendar, which most of the nations of the world, one way or another, follow part of the work of the Christ in name. But what is important for us to understand, 2018 will bring a lot of changes. It brings the maturity of the soul of the man. It brings the opening of the space to man. It brings a new dimension. I foresee the work of all the space agencies in the coming months together. And then we will see the rapid expansion of opening of space. But the scientists have to understand the work of the soul of the man in the space, not the work of the physical systems. It'll be very hard for them, and once they do, all these resources of different nations we see today become one nation, will go into that direction. I see the Chinese government to head the space technology. I see the same, that humanity will change in a very big way. We'll become more aware of our own conducts, not for the others. And on the other hand, 2018 is 11. It's a very, very balanced year. It's the beginning. It's individuality and totality. Let's see what it brings. And I wish you a happy New Year. And you had a very wonderful Merry Christmas. But remember one thing. My physicality does not count. It's the soul which speaks will change the soul, not the sound of the physicality. Thank you very much for today. And I wish you a very fantastic and a happy new year for those who believe in the path of Christ. Blessings.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Keshe, for yet another year of hard work and your presence in the planet here. Thank you for hanging in with us. Okay, so that brings to a close the 204th Knowledge Seekers Workshop for Thursday, December 28th, 2017. As always, thank you everybody for attending. Thank you for being here during our last year of workshops. And we'll look forward to seeing you in the new year. We'll continue with the Knowledge Seekers Workshops, and then the private teachings will begin after January 19th, I believe it is. And you can sign up for that on the Keshe Foundation website if you so choose. Okay, thank you everybody. And let's end with some video and music there from Flint. Thank you very much.